And staying with the Russian leader, Vladimir Putin is waging a secret war, not with tanks, bombs, or bullets, but with people. According to NATO, Russia and its allies, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela are in fact weaponizing migration, flooding the southern U.S. border. And this is no accident. NATO generals say it is a calculated strategy meant to destabilize the United States. So just how far does Russia's influence in Latin America actually go? The answers may actually shock you. Our next report uncovers the full story.
In the shadows of global politics, a secret war unfolds. It is not fought with tanks or missiles, but with people, desperate people. And Russia, through its allies, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, has turned migration into a weapon. This strategy, first used in Europe, now floods the US border with illegal immigrants. It began in 2014 after Russia annexed Crimea.
We hold you as an example, our dear veterans, and there is a big moral input on your side in that. Sevastopol and Crimea are back to Russia. You transferred to us the great values of unity, fairness, solidarity. You taught us to act according to our conscience. The generation that grew up in Sevastopol has always acted according to those values.
The Kremlin acted, and they knew they needed to weaken Europe's response to sanctions. So it unleashed a wave of migrants through its eastern route. NATO's then General Philip Breedlove warned that Russia and Syria's Assad regime were weaponizing migration. Their plan was clear: overwhelm Europe, break its resolve, and force negotiations. Then 2 years later, in 2016, Russia targeted Finland. The Center for Eastern Studies revealed that the FSB, which is Russia's security agency, directed migrants to the Finnish border. And a Russian border guard even confirmed it. The FSB decides which car moves and when. Families with children were given priority, and Russia controls the flow.
Many people are disappointed by Europe. And to be perfectly honest, so am I a little, although I continue to work optimistically. But I believe there is a need for greater understanding that all countries will face difficulties if we reintroduce border controls everywhere. All countries must have an interest in the protection of the outer border, because if we don't have that, then we are also in great danger in terms of security policy.
Then came 2022, and history repeated itself. This time, Belarus joined the game. The country increased flights from Syria and Iraq, and Syrian airline Cham Wings launched daily flights to Minsk. Migrants arrived, but hardly anyone left. Flights from Baghdad to Minsk carried 180 people, while only 5 returned.
This is horrible. In total, this is all orchestrated by the Belarusian regime. The migrants are lied to being brought there, so that Lukashenko and his villains can sort out their problems. As the migrants were lied to and robbed, their presence at the border becomes the hot spot in our region. This is all the fault of Lukashenko and Putin.
Soon after which, Poland, Lithuania and Latvia declared states of emergency. Finland shut its border, realizing Russian guards were helping illegal crossings. Now this same playbook is being used in America's backyard. Russia's allies, Cuba, Nicaragua and Venezuela, are engineering a crisis at the southern US border. Illegal migrants from these countries once made up less than 1% of the crossings, and now they account for 20%. But why the sudden surge? Because the ruling elites and cartels are making it easier for migrants to leave. For instance, in Cuba, a growing Russian military base signals deeper ties. And after thousands of Cuban mercenaries were sent to fight for Russia and Ukraine, it is certain the crisis is deeper than what one might think. And in all of this, Nicaragua plays a key role. In October 2022, it was one of only 4 countries that voted against condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And the others were North Korea, Syria and Belarus, Moscow's loyal puppets. And soon after, Nicaragua opened its airports to charter flights filled with Cubans. On arrival, they were met by Mexican smugglers or coyotes ready to guide them north. Even though the US eventually sanctioned those airlines, but the damage was done. Venezuela followed suit, and soon over 266,000 migrants crossed the US border, becoming the largest group crossing illegally. The Colombian migrants were also not far behind. In the same year, at least 160,000 crossed the border illegally. Even Haiti wasn't spared. At least 76,000 Haitians accounted for illegal arrivals at the US border. The evidence is clear. Russia and its allies are destabilizing the West. They use migration as a tool, just as they did in Europe. They support cartels, build smuggling routes and flood borders at will. Western democracies must act fast, and if they don't, this hidden war will only grow.
We're calling the show Vantage. We hope you like what we've put together for you. Touted as the minimum defense from that video. India's neighbors were the first to send this special edition of Vantage live from the White House throughout this week. Yes, Hindu Mandir in we're on our way to Tel Aviv. Measure, but it's also the perfect way to drive.
I don't think that
Prime Minister of Bhutan, Sherin Tagwe. Welcome to
60% of the world's
office. Prime Minister Modi did the iron.
We were actually
How are you doing? How do you like? It's been 1 year since that meeting. Iron bars separate you from the outside. Out the vote effort. Trump had, it says, and at $4.3 trillion. 4.3 300 billion by 2030. That's what we need to tackle climate change.